Welcome back to another episode. I'm excited for today's episode because today we are talking about the best rental strategy of 2026. And it may not be what you expect, okay? So definitely listen up for this episode. So when I think about 2026 from a real estate standpoint, I'm titling this year from a real estate theme standpoint is the year of wondering. We are wondering a lot of things right now. We are wondering, is the job market going to get better? Are rates going to go down more? We are wondering, is this a good time to buy or not? How is the political situation going to affect the economy? We're still just kind of uncertain, right? I don't want to say fully uncertainty because 2025 was absolutely a year of uncertainty for lots of various reasons. And, we got through that. We're here, but we still haven't turned the corner, but we're not fully just at the bottom either. Who knows, right? Like there are economists that are saying that the worst has happened and now we're on the upside, but we don't know until you kind of like have a little bit more recovery. If you've been following me, speaking of recovery, if you've been following me for a while, or maybe you come to my conference, or you are one of my clients, you know that I talk about how real estate exists in cycles. Okay. Real estate historically over time does well. And when I say over time, I'm talking about 20, 50 years. I'm not talking about 5 to 10 years. You're going to see this in 5 to 10 years. But when you look at real estate over a 20 to 50-year span, it historically goes up. Okay. And rental income historically will go up. Again, it goes down a little bit sometimes, it stays flat, but over the long haul, it goes up. Real estate is a long game. I don't care what the people tell you that it is a get rich quick type of situation. It is not. All right. It's not. But what I would say is that it goes in cycles, right? And when we were in 2020, 2021, we were at the top of the graph. We call that our expansion cycle. Okay. So that's when prices are going up because demand is high. And so now that the cost of real estate has went up higher because interest rates have been higher, that has pushed the demand down and affordability down. So that has created this downward market when you go more towards a declining market. All right. And so, again, if you came to my conference last year, I showed this what I call market cycle of emotions. And what it is, and maybe I'll be able to add the graph here. And what this market cycle of emotions is, it helps you to predict where you are on the real estate market according to what are the emotions of the economy. So when people are happy, they're making money, they're feeling good, real estate tends to be a little bit more easier to navigate. A lot of people are selling at the top of the market at the highest point that they have ever sales. We're seeing record sales. That's when real estate is going really good and prices are up. When you see people getting uncertain, feeling hopeless, losing homes, foreclosure rates going up, short sale rates going up, people just feeling really afraid, that's when you see prices go down. But here's the thing, you want to buy when people are scared. That's one of the like top quotes from one of the biggest, best investors ever, Warren Buffett. He says that when people are greedy, that's when you run. That's when you don't buy. That's when people are, the market is up. And then he says that you buy when people are fearful. That's when you're most scared to actually buy. So that's now. And so when I think about all of that and I think about where we are, again, I feel like we are maybe at the beginning of the recovery phase when we kind of start to go back up, but we're not really there yet. It still looks pretty bleak. And so we're just kind of wondering if we're there. And so that's the theme I have of what I think this year is. And so when I think about even my own personal portfolio, and I was sitting there planning this episode and I was like, what's the best rental strategy? Is it Airbnb? Because people are still needing short-term rentals. Is it midterm rental? Like, because the places where Airbnb isn't working. Is it long-term rental? Is it Section 8? Is it all the things? And what I think the top rental strategy of 2026, again, it may shock you. I feel like for me personally in my portfolio, again, because I've been through ebbs and flows, I've been through a portfolio where I had majority short-term rentals. I've been in a portfolio when I had majority long-term rentals. I've been in a portfolio even most recently where I had majority Section 8 rentals. I've done all of it. And my top rental strategy for 2026 is a diversified rental portfolio. It is a diversified strategy is my suggestion. It is not having all your eggs in one basket, especially for the people who have multiple units, whether you have a multifamily property or whether you have more than one rental property. I suggest diversification, okay? Because you don't want to have all your eggs in one strategy. And if that strategy pivots dramatically, then you got to have a lot of reserves or you're going to be crying if it doesn't work out. So if you're all in on short-term rental and you're like, that's it, that's what I'm doing, da da da, and maybe a regulation all of a sudden doesn't allow you to have short-term rental in your market anymore, and you have based your numbers, you bought your property based on needing to be able to hit your short-term rental numbers, then you have to figure out really quickly what are you going to do to pivot. Okay. So say you're in Section 8 and Section 8 does a moratorium to where, they are now, what just happened to us last year. They are in a situation where they have a moratorium to where if your tenant can't pay their portion of the rent, then you just don't get the portion of the rent. There are ways that the voucher can be increased, but sometimes that works out. In our experience, sometimes having a lot of Section 8 properties in a market where they have more options because there's more inventory, we have began seeing more turnover even with Section 8 because now Section 8 has so many more options of places they can rent because so many people are desperate to rent their properties. So I believe that there's an importance of having diversified rental strategy. Here's how we are diversifying our rental strategy for 2026. We have a lot of different rental strategies going on because we don't want to be caught up in one specific situation. We want to choose a rental strategy that is best for the property, in particular, the location, and the overall biggest return on investment for that unit. And so right now, I have short-term rentals, I have midterm rentals, I have some Section 8, I have long-term rentals, and I even introduced a new rental strategy this year called co-living, where I am renting by the room. And so, especially in places where the rents have went down and expenses have went up, because we definitely felt it last year. We made less money on our portfolio than we've had in a while because of the expenses going up and the rents going down. And so because of that, and on a couple of properties, we've decided to pivot to more of a pad split model with it's a company that I'm going to bring them on later this year on the podcast to tell you more about it. But we pivoted to more of a rent by the room for some properties, given that if it's in a location that's right by the city, it's desirable, people can get to it by public transportation. We can rent out the room. We can actually convert the living room and the dining room to a bedroom to make even more rooms. And we're able to actually make more money with that strategy. So we pivoted a couple properties just to test it out with that strategy as well. Okay. And so again, I think the best strategy for 2026 is diversification. That's what's important to me. What scares me about long-term rentals and having all of my eggs in that basket is what if someone loses their job? We're in a season right now where a lot of companies, whether they're high income or not, are potentially experiencing job layoffs. And if your tenant can't pay you, what are you going to do? And so we don't want to have all of our properties in long-term rental and that happens. So I think that I'm really looking forward to see how this year turns out. So far, everybody's paying their rent. The short-term rentals are doing well and the rent by the rooms are. So We'll see. We're just now in it, but, one of the things too that was really cool, a part of my community, owning and living in community, I have a mastermind. So I work with clients for 12 months, and we work hands-on with them, and I have a group of coaches that I work with. And so the beautiful thing, side note, about if you ever decide that you would like to learn from me, to how to invest in real estate, is that you don't just get me, you get myself, you get other experts that I've introduced on this podcast. You also get other coaches in the community that are even as experienced as I am. I mean, I have coaches that have 20, 30 properties, have done building, construction, they've done all the things, wholesaling. And so we just have such a rich, diversified level of experience, and we're all aligned within the community. And so we were wrapping up a call, and we have a moment where it's like, "Oh, how's everybody doing? How's everybody portfolio performing?" We just kind of did like a little quick vent section just to talk about all the things that were going wrong, because that's how it is when you have a lot of properties. And I was just telling them, I was like, "Man, we had a lot of vacancy last year. We did a really good job." Shout out to my husband, who was the front runner and our, director of properties. If you haven't, oh man, if you have not watched the episode I did on my biggest property management nightmare, go back and watch that episode, because I explained how I almost quit. I almost quit investing in real estate. My husband was a big part in helping to bring it back to life. And so, anyways, we went from having a lot of vacancies to now only having one building left that we need to turn into a pass flip. And so I was just saying how I was like, "Oh, man, I'm so close to having 100% occupancy, but I'm just, I gotta do this building, da da da." And then they were looking at me and they were like, "Whoever has 100% occupancy?" And somebody was like, "Well, I probably have a 100% occupancy for like a month." And then somebody puts in a notice. And I was like, "You know what? That's true. Where did I get this from?" Instagram. Instagram. Instagram makes you believe that nobody has any vacancies and everybody's just, making all this money every month and everything goes great, right? And they were like, "No, I rarely have like 100% occupancy." And I was like, "Wow, okay, so I'm not crazy." Because a part of having a large portfolio is you're constantly having turnover. And so that's the value of community. The value of being around other people who are doing it too is that you're not you get to kind of like check to see that you're not that crazy. You're not crazy. And sometimes again, we create these unrealistic expectations that really aren't a real thing. And being around other people that are doing it too, it helps you to know, like, "Oh, okay, well, this actually is okay. Or maybe I should try this. Or how does that work for you?" Because a lot of times, even when I talk to clients, they're smart. They have figured out how to, build wealth and, manage their finances to get to a place of being able to invest in real estate. And a lot of my job with them is just to use my experience to let them know that they are on the right track. Right. And so if that's you and you've been watching and you're like, "Man, I desire that. I need that." Then I really invite you to book a call to chat with me, and I can see if I'm a good fit to help you and to invite you to this community, because you really don't have to do it alone. Just like, that was an aha moment for me when they were like, "Nobody has 100% occupancy." And I was like, "You know what? That's true." When was the last time I had 100% occupancy? And yeah, so anyways, I hope this episode was helpful for you. What rental strategy are you considering in 2026? And are you considering a pivot? Let me know in the comments if that is the case. And thanks for listening to another episode. See you soon. Bye.